Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got a question from Scott here, and so I'll let Scott comment on this video if he wants to reveal his full name and his website. I'll publish the comment, but I didn't want to, because of the nature of the question, didn't want to necessarily assume that you want this to be known, Scott, for this video. So anyway. So Scott recently enjoyed some success in his career. Congratulations, and he got some good publicity. So he sent me this email. It's short, so I'll read it. It says, "Hi John, I recently hit a milestone within my career, and I really do want to harness any momentum that may ripple from the event. As a coach, what are your thoughts on how one can ride the wave of success and use that momentum to further accelerate their achievements? Please note, I'm afraid that my recent achievement will soon fizzle, and I dread the thought of being a one-hit wonder." So Scott, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, I'd say I'm going to start backwards from the one-hit wonder thing. I wouldn't worry about being a one-hit wonder, because the thing is, what you learn and what you become is going to influence what you can do and who you're going to be able to reach. It's not so much about like a one-time publicity event is never going to make or break you. So this one event by itself is not going to be the end-all be-all. It's going to be a careful set of planning your career and your marketing and branding yourself and promoting yourself, that is, and gaining, of course, your knowledge and wisdom in your field, that is going to determine your ultimate level of success. So don't worry so much about this. A lot of people get on the Today Show or on Oprah or whatever, and no one even knows who they are at all. Like they don't even, people get on Shark Tank and then don't even make any money selling their product, and they're reaching millions of people. So don't worry about that, right? I don't want you to stress out about being a one-hit wonder, because you're not going to be a one-hit wonder, because you're going to utilize this success and you're going to go beyond that. So let me talk a little bit about kind of some strategies for utilizing this success and kind of strategy overall that you should have. And by the way, I will quick plug here. I cover a lot of this in my How to Market Yourself as a Software Developer course at devcareerboost.com, devcareerboost.com. That course really talks about how to market yourself and brand yourself and how to use different channels to promote yourself. If you've taken the course, then you probably have heard some of this. But essentially, I'm going to give, in your specific example, Scott, some specific advice on what I would do. So if you've been on a popular podcast like you have, what you can really do from this is now reach out to other podcasts and utilize that success that you've had being on this larger podcast and talk about that. But you got to do it in a way that doesn't appear to be needy, right? You want to always talk about the value that you can provide to someone else. So you might email some other popular podcast, use this podcast appearance as a sort of a proof that so you can leverage that, right? And you can say, look, I was featured on such and such podcast. I'm sure your audience would like to hear about this as well. And you could talk about how the episode was popular, how there's a lot of comments on it, and send a link to it, and show that people are interested in this topic. So let's talk about this topic. That's going to get you some more exposure, get you on some other podcasts probably, and you can even utilize that for perhaps writing a blog post or a magazine article or something like that as well. So that's the first thing, is you can actually use that to further advance your career and your branding. The second thing I'd say is that you got to figure out how to do more of these things. You're not always going to be able to leverage that one thing that happened, But what is your overall strategy? You need to have a plan here of, now that you've got have tasted, you've got your foot in the water, you got to come up with a plan on how to market and brand yourself. Now it's becoming critical, and I think you're seeing the value of it now. A lot of people don't start to see the value, but you're probably going to get some emails from people, some opportunities are going to open up, because there's a huge value in getting your name out there and marketing yourself as a software developer. So what I would recommend that you do is that you definitely get a nice solid branding. The things I talk about, like in how to market yourself as a software developer course, you need to get a good logo that you're going to use, consistent imagery. The branding really is having that logo, the imagery, having a message that's consistent and clear. What is it that you do? Summarize yourself in one sentence. What do you do? Like, for example, simple programmer, I make the complex simple. That's what I do, right? That's my tagline or slogan, right? You need to have something like that so that you have a very clear goal and you can communicate your message very clearly. So then once you have that, then you want to be producing some kind of content to promote that, right? So look at some of the things that I'm doing, right? When you look at how I advanced my career and sort of built up a name for myself in the industry, you can see some of the things I did, right? Obviously, I got on some key podcasts. But then I started producing a lot of content. I produced blog posts, right? Which I know that you're producing blog posts already, Scott. I'm doing YouTube videos, right? I've got now over 10,000 subscribers on this channel. I've got an email list going. I've got podcasts that I'm creating myself. So, you can't necessarily do all of those things, but you can do some of those things. You can use what you have to promote what you have. So what you really want to do is you want to, as you gain more credibility and audience, you want to leverage that to gain even more. And it's going to take time, right? This is not something that is going to be super fast, but if you're consistently giving people good value and a good advice, and I listened to the episode of the podcast that you're on, Scott, and you did excellent. You did a great job. You came off just right. You didn't come off arrogant. You didn't come off too preachy. You spoke with authority, but with sincerity and wanting to honestly help people. And that's the key, right? I think that, and this is a transition I think that you're making. I think some of the things that maybe you've done in the past had the wrong tone, where it's a little bit, you have to be careful, right? Because you don't want to appear like you're trying to prove yourself. You want to speak from an authority, and people can pick up on that real quick. So if someone's very defensive and they're trying to prove their abilities, that's going to make you, it's going to be difficult to gain that credibility and to become an authority in a situation. So I think, we've talked about this a little bit, but I think you've got that. Obviously you're able to do that in .NET Rocks. Don't lose that. That's the thing I would tell you is, like, don't be afraid of being a one-hit wonder, because if you're afraid of that, then you're going to lose that, and you're going to start acting from trying to prove myself, space again. Don't even worry about that. Think long game. Don't think about the short game. Think about the long game. Think about how you're going to improve your career and how you're going to build up a name, and plan out some things, right? So if I were you right now, if you're really serious about this and really serious about making an impact and building up a name, right, then what you need to do is start planning what are you going to do, and then start measuring, right? How many conferences are there that you could submit to? Start writing abstracts for them, and there leverage your podcast appearance. Say, I was featured on this podcast and this was a really popular episode, and whatever, and use that. Leverage that. Maybe even you can get a few connections in that space or from that show, and use that to say, hey, where could I, do you know someone? I'm trying to get in the conference circuit, whatever. I'm trying to write magazine articles, right? Or I'm trying to get a book deal so I can write a book. You can do that too, right? You just got to figure it out. It's up to you. You're going to have to plan these things out. But before you start making those calls and connections, make sure, like I said, that you have a solid branding in place, a consistent message, so that your efforts, because one thing that you got to make sure that you do is that when you deliver a message, right, when you're getting your name out there, It needs to be consistent and clear, and it has to have a solid branding so that people associate it. Otherwise, it's sort of noise, right? You don't want to be scattering seeds all over the place. You want to have, your nozzle, your fire hose, and you want that thing dialed in so it's laser focused, just shooting that steady stream directly rather than just spraying all over the place like a sprinkler, right? Because that's not going to be very effective. You want to really get the spot that you're trying to hit wet. You want to get people to know who you are in that space, and from I don't know, I won't get into the specifics of what I think that you should specialize in, but I think you've got a pretty good idea from what you talked about and what clicked and what resonated with people. So anyway, I hope that helps you out, and I'm just trying to think of any other kind of advice on how you can leverage this and how you can use this. Like I said, I think the biggest thing is just thinking the long term, coming out with a plan, and just knowing that it's going to take some time and doing little things at a time. I mean, I started out and I had like a couple of podcasts under my belt. I've been on something like 40 podcasts now, right? And I've got hundreds of YouTube videos and hundreds of blog posts. But it took time to just build that up, little by little, and then all of a sudden you end up with this big mounting evidence of your expertise and authority, and you build up a real brand. It just takes time. Most people give up. They don't, and you don't start seeing the real effects until you hit this tipping point, right? This what do they call it? The critical mass. Right? Once you hit a critical mass, you just got to keep on plugging away and keep on trying to do the things that are going to promote yourself and get your name out there until you hit that critical mass. And like I said, the key to it is always, and I promise you, give people value first, right? If you focus on that, if you're like, I am just going to try and do my best to help other people, to give them as much value as possible, that is the thing that's going to get you, because that's what's going to cause people to share and promote you. If you're trying to prove yourself, right? This is where people go wrong. If you're trying to prove that you are smart, that you know what you're doing, that you're an expert, that never works. It's not going to work because it'll come off as needy. People are going to doubt it. It's not going to be sincere. But if you're like, I'm coming here because I want to help you, I want to give you value, right? That is going to work. And that's really, when you look at the videos in this channel, right? That's what I'm trying to primarily do. I just want to give you the information that I have. I want to help you if I can. I want you to succeed, right? So I'm giving you all the best stuff that I've learned that's out of my head. And that's why people like the content, is because they know that I'm doing that, and that the rest will take care of itself. As long as you've got a plan, as long as you're producing content and you're giving people value, it's gonna happen, right? Trying to get like this one-hit wonder, get on Oprah or the Today Show, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the long run. It's never, or on Shark Tank, right? It's not gonna matter. But giving people value consistently, having a solid brand, and having a plan to promote that brand, that is the key. And it'll take time, but you will get there. I promise you. You keep on banging that drum, 5 years down the road, you're going to be way, way beyond where you probably ever even expected to be in your career. Well, I hope that helps you, Scott. If you got a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com, and I will talk to you next time. Take care. Oh, don't forget to subscribe.